Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today we've got Megan Shapiro with us. So Megan, it's great to have you. I'm just very fascinated by how you got from Republic, Missouri, a little town of 10,000, to Sacramento and into construction litigation. So it sounds like a very interesting story to me.
Well, thanks, Bruce, and thanks for having me. It's good to be here and good to spend some time chatting with you. I was one of those tiny little girls in Southwest Missouri that always had big dreams and kind of knew pretty much all along that I wanted to be a lawyer. I had a brief detour where I really thought I wanted to be a geologist when I was about 5. But as soon as I watched my first episode of Law and Order, I fell in love with DA Jack McCoy, and I wanted to be his new ADA. And so, so that sort of set the path in motion. And then, of course, all the choices that I made after that led to where I am today. But yes, it's been a windy road from Southwest Missouri, landing in Sacramento with a few detours and extra weird degrees along the way.
Wait a minute, what are your other degrees along the way?
Well, so of course I went to undergrad. I went to the University of Missouri for undergrad, Mizzou in Columbia. So that was my first foray out of Southwest Missouri, but still close enough to home, about 3 hours, that I kind of got to spread my wings a little bit, but with a safety net. And then from there, I came out to Sacramento to go to law school. So that's what brought me out here. But like a true type A overachiever, like many of us are, graduating law school wasn't enough for me. And so I decided that I wanted to get another degree. And so I have what's called an LLM, which stands for a Master of Laws in Trial Advocacy. And the only one of those that they offer in the entire country is at Temple University in Philadelphia. So
Wow.
after I graduated law school, I enrolled in my LLM, which was a year-long program. And I actually telecommuted for that program. So I would fly out to Philadelphia and stay for 1 weekend a month to do in-person mock trials. And the rest of the time, I was still living and working in Sacramento, and I would attend classes online through Zoom.
Wow. Wow. So do you consider yourself a trial lawyer or just a litigator?
Uh, you know, it's so interesting that you asked that question that way, because my law partner, Frank Radoslavich, obviously his name is the other name on the wall that you can see behind me. He's the founder of our firm. He founded the firm in 1995. But he is one of the only people that I have ever met before you just now that actually knows and draws a distinction between trial work and litigation. And so I would say to those in the know that I definitely identify as a trial lawyer. I'm certainly one by training. But most people assume that litigation is the same thing. And so the bulk of my day to day is litigation. But I do fancy myself a trial lawyer, and I actually have a case set to go to trial here in about a month. So,
Oh boy, you're ramping up.
yeah,
What more fun
very
can that
much.
be? Yeah.
Yes, it's gonna be an interesting one, that's for sure. It's just a question of whether or not there's gonna be a courtroom available for us. So we'll see.
Oh, what? They don't even have a courtroom? Wow.
That's actually a pretty common problem because our Constitution, of course, affords criminal defendants a right to a speedy trial, but civil litigants do not have the same
Oh.
protections. And
Oh.
so anytime there's a criminal case that needs priority, they bump us out and they take the courtroom. And so we
Oh.
just kind of have to wait our turn and wait until there's one available.
I never knew that part of it, huh?
Yep.
So I assume this is a big litigation between what the contractor and the client or something like that. Not that you could talk anything about it.
I can speak in generalities, high level. What I can say is that it was that, the way you described it, in the beginning of the case. But as it just so happens, we were actually able to resolve the claims against the contractor. And
Oh,
so the claims that are remaining are actually primarily fraud-based claims
oh
that are
boy.
very interesting. So the shape of the trial is going to be a lot different than what I was thinking even a month ago that it was going to be. So it's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Wow. Wow. So okay, so you get your law degree, you pass the California bar, you go to work, and did you immediately start going into construction law? What brought you there?
No, I didn't at all. I guess the theme of today is detours. I detoured through the land of so I never really did too much in the criminal world. I graduated law school in '09, and I know you're here in California, so you are going to understand where I'm coming from. But we all know what the worldwide economy did in
Oh,
2009. But in
Yeah.
California in particular, all the DA's offices and public defender's offices went on hiring freezes. And so
Oh,
even though
really?
so I
Oh,
thought that was going to be my path, but
right.
nobody was hiring. And so to sort of scratch that criminal itch, I ended up becoming a contract attorney who, so I was working for, it was a state contract, but it provided attorneys to people who had been released on parole, but were
Oh,
accused of violating that parole. So they wanted to take away parole and reincarcerate them.
oh,
So
wow.
since it was a deprivation of liberty at stake, they appointed attorneys similar to how public defenders are appointed with
Right.
traditional criminal defendants. And so I did that while simultaneously venturing into the world of civil litigation,
Okay.
which is how I made the transition. But
Yeah.
as far as construction law goes, I sort of like to say I fell into construction law and then fell in love with construction law. So it was never
Oh,
an
okay.
intentional move, at least not in the beginning.
So where did you fall into construction litigation?
So when
You,
I started at the current firm, of course, it had a different name back then, obviously. I was about a second or third year attorney, still doing those parole hearings and doing some civil litigation for a
okay.
solo practitioner here in Sacramento. And when I
Okay.
joined the firm here, they had a smaller than it is now construction practice with a handful of core construction clients. And the firm would sort of use it as the training ground for new attorneys. So when new
Oh,
attorneys would
okay.
get hired, they'd sort of say, "Here, this is an easy area of law to learn and practice. Go get better while you're doing this." Well, I actually got really lucky because within a couple of months of me joining the firm and being handed this portfolio of litigation, our primary construction client hired a new general manager within a couple of months. And so
Wow.
we both took over and sort of looked around and said, we don't really know what our predecessors were doing and we don't really care. Let's make this what we want it to be and build this litigation portfolio out the way that we want to handle it.
Wow.
And I sort of fell in love with it. I went to the partners at the time and said, "Hey, I actually really love this. I don't want this to be passed on to the next new hire. I want to keep it and grow the practice."
Wow.
And
All
so
right.
my partner that's here still, Frank, pulled me aside and said, "Okay, look, we like you, we value you. So we're going to support you in this, but I'm just letting you know my other partner, who obviously isn't here anymore, doesn't respect the area of law that much. In fact, the quote was, he thinks a monkey could do it. And so if you want to do this, you're probably going to be limiting your growth potential here just because he thinks that you don't like to be challenged." And I
Wow.
sort of said, wow, I mean, like, I strongly disagree with that evaluation of construction law, but I'm going to do it anyway because I love it. And you can see whose name is now on the wall.
Well, wait a minute. I want to just back up for a second. Are you saying that construction litigation is sort of not highly esteemed in the legal world?
No, I definitely would not want to go on record saying that.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay, good. All
yeah,
right. All right.
let me give a few distinctions. So first of
Okay.
all, I was primarily doing construction defect defense, but not through insurance. So we were
Oh,
private
okay.
counsel doing construction defect defense.
All
So
right.
the reputation within my own firm only, I am not going to impute that reputation to the legal community at large. The reputation within my own firm only,
Oh,
that
okay. All right.
very specific type of construction litigation was something that even a monkey could do. So
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity to clarify that.
Well, I mean, representing insurance firms is not what you'd call a lot of fun, I would think.
I would think not. I've never done it, so I can't
Yeah.
say with personal experience, but I would agree. I don't think so.
But I mean, having a architectural background myself, I could see that construction litigation is a big deal.
Hmm.
And often, I work with NIBI construction occasionally. And so anyway, long story short, I would think that construction litigation is very important and a big road to go down. So how far and wide are your cases? Do you go national or are you only in California?
So I'm only licensed in California.
Right.
So I'm only allowed to practice law within California. I do have a sort of outside in-house counsel role for many of my construction clients. Some of them actually have operations outside of the state, and so I dip my toes into that a little bit where appropriate. But yeah, the bulk of all of my law firm clients are in California because that's where I'm licensed to practice law.
So from state to state, do construction laws change a lot?
You know, they really can. Although I would personally say it's a little less state to state and a little more regional specific.
Oh,
Yeah, with the exception of Louisiana. I always have to say Louisiana is the exception because The other 49 states all follow common law, but Louisiana follows Napoleonic law because it
Oh,
was
wow.
founded by the French. And so, for whatever reason, they've
Oh,
stuck with their roots and they still do Napoleonic law as sort of the basis for everything. It's a completely different system. So, I can't speak to Louisiana at all. I don't even venture into that realm. Love to visit, but don't love to practice law there. But the rest of us, yeah, I mean, the rest of us, there is certainly a lot of, certainly when it comes to contract based law, when we're talking about interpretation of construction contracts, that's going to be pretty much universal.
yeah.
And then some of the more nuanced laws around things like liens can be state specific or regional specific. Certainly, some of the standards that go along with establishing the building codes and the defect standards are going to be very regional, based primarily on the environmental considerations, really. So it can vary, yeah.
Do you ever have to get into rent control issues?
I don't deal with that much. I've had a handful is probably too generous of the characterization. I've had a couple of rent control types of situations. They didn't go into litigation, fortunately. I was involved as an attorney. We were able to get it resolved on the front end before it got that far, but I don't have a ton of experience with that.
Yeah, yeah, nor probably an area you necessarily want to get into. So what would you say the most, maybe there is no generality here, but what is the maybe the most general case that happens in construction?
Ooh, um, gosh, there's probably a top five, and I don't know
Okay.
if I could rank them in order, right? But certainly disputes around change orders is a huge one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Delay issues, delay claims is another big one. Liens, of course, right? The subcontractors, the trades, that's usually their only mechanism of enforcing their rights
Right.
inside of a contract. And so particularly as it
So
pertains to
do you typically litigate on the side of the defendant, the subcontractor, or the contractor in those cases, or maybe you're on both sides?
yeah, so I do a little bit of everything, but definitely the bulk of my legal practice is focused on the trades. So I have a few general contractor clients, a few design professional clients, a few owners, but the bulk of my clientele is the trade contractors. I always say the trades have my heart too.
So, okay, so I'm going to ask you, well, maybe you can answer this question. Has the advent of computer-aided design helped reduce litigation, or has it maybe increased litigation, or maybe it's hard to know?
Yeah, it's hard for me to really pinpoint the answer to that question. I have because it just hasn't become an issue in the
Mm.
litigation itself.
Oh, that's interesting. So the design, the plans, you said you represented some uh construction
Design
documents
professionals.
maybe, but that the design of the building doesn't necessarily come into play.
Yeah, and there's one big reason for that, at least as it pertains to California, and this is one of those areas that may be different in other areas of the country. But in California, it is exceedingly difficult to actually sue a design professional to
Oh,
bring
really?
them, yeah, to bring them into litigation. It's very, very difficult to do that. You actually have to get a design professional that's got the same type of design professional, right? An architect or a geotechnical engineer, whatever the design professional is. You have to get someone that is exactly the same,
Oh, right.
willing to, before the case even gets filed, swear out in a declaration that they've reviewed the work that was done by the person you're looking to sue and
Right.
they believe it fell below the standard of care. And the design professional community is pretty tight knit. It's very difficult to find somebody that's willing to do that.
Oh, interesting. Well, okay, let's talk just for a minute. Maybe you don't know this case all that well, but the famous Millennium Tower.
Oh, yes, I know it well.
Well, you weren't involved, right?
No, no, I was not
Okay,
involved.
all right, all right. So, what's your thoughts about that whole mess?
Oh boy. How much longer do we have here, Bruce? Um,
We'll,
you know,
we'll go for a few minutes here. Yeah.
it's that one is very, very interesting for all of the reasons that are publicly available. I'm in a somewhat of a unique position. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I also teach the construction law and
Yes.
contracts course
Right.
at UC
At Davis.
Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's in their professional school.
Mm.
And the final project that we assign to our students is that they have to pick a recent California case and do a presentation about it. And I think it was 2 quarters ago, I had a student who was close enough involved in that that they had access to all the confidential settlement information
Oh, wow.
with that case.
Oh my gosh.
And they used it in the project. And so I've got a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of the confidential information that came out in the settlement. So I've got a lot of thoughts about it, but most of them I can't share.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Well, maybe we should just leave it at that rather than dive into the danger zone. So,
Yeah, I mean, I will say it's been resolved. The parties all reached a resolution that was mutually agreeable to everybody. And I do believe, as far as is publicly available, that the required repairs have been done to the building so that it's not the Leaning Tower of Pisa in San Francisco anymore. So I think it's all good.
one of my previous interviews was with an insurance guy up in Reading, and he was just fascinated with this whole process. So we spent one whole podcast talking about this. So, at any rate, the whole insurance side of it and the claims and so forth. So, anyway, I'll try and find that and send that to you just for fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, we could probably talk for another couple days, I think, but let's leave it here for now. And end with what's your favorite food?
Gosh, it's hard to say what my actual favorite food is, and I'm just going to give a peek behind the curtain to your listeners. You prepped me on this question, but you gave me an option to talk about sandwiches. And even though I would not say that my favorite sandwich is my favorite food, I'm still going to go with 7-Eleven's egg salad sandwich.
All right, we're gonna have to bring in 7-Eleven for a sponsor on this. They're gonna pay us, I'm sure, millions of dollars for this
Yes.
particular ad that we're putting out on them. I'm now gonna go actually look for a 7-Eleven sandwich egg salad. So,
It's good. It would be a fun, interesting experiment for one of your future episodes to do a blind taste test. Get the 7-Eleven egg salad sandwich and some other egg salad sandwich and see which one wins out.
all right, we're gonna put this on the docket. We're gonna put this on. I actually want to talk a little further about the future. What do you think is going to happen? But maybe we can add that to our taste testing in the future.
Yes, I'd love to come back just for that, if nothing else.
All right. Okay. All right. I'll have to send you the sandwiches so that you can taste test them.
Oh, that's right. Or, well, you know what? I can get you in touch with somebody in my office so they can get them both, and I won't know which is which.
All right. Okay. We're going to have the taste test. We'll do this in like 3 months or whenever.
Yes.
That will be very fun. And we'll figure out some other part of the construction litigation to talk about it at that time.
Yeah, well, maybe I can listen to the episode about the Millennium Tower from the insurance perspective and weigh in on that at that point.
That would be great. All right. I'm going to send you that particular episode, and then we'll see where we go from there.
I love it.
Well, great to have you, and I look forward to talking to you again in the very near future with
Thank
the
you
egg
so
salads.
much. Yes. Got to have the sandwiches here or it's not worth it.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.